Welcome to my tiny house. Well, this is how the tiny house looks after it's all been fixed up. If you'd like to see how it initially looked and how we got to here, please follow along. Let's first begin with a tour so you can see where this video series is headed. This is an RVIA certified trailer, means it has a license plate as a vehicle. For this reason, I can keep it parked in the back of my yard. It's not permanently attached to the ground. The kitchen is new. You'll see how we added this later. Floor's new. Up here we have a loft, the queen size bed that existed. The bathroom back here also already existed when we purchased the unit. This is a sink, functional water, heated. You'll see how we did that heat later. Air conditioner, shower, toilets, and a seating area and office area. That's actually what I use this space for right now, as a bit of an office. And microwave, functional refrigerator. So I am not the original owner to this unit. I am the third owner. The first owner paid $35,000. I paid $18,000, but I had to fix a lot of it. You'll see in the video series as we go along what exactly I had to fix. I made plenty of mistakes. I'm sure you'll catch those along the way. Feel free to follow along in this video series to see how we finally end up here. Tiny house has arrived, and now we're going to try to get it into the backyard through this gate entrance. In order to do this, we already had to raise the electrical pole a number of feet in order to clear the roof. Neighbor's so kind to help me try to tow it back there. Okay, so the tiny house has made its way to the backyard. We're at the final stretch. Gonna push it in the back corner. I've leveled the land a bit, and eventually we'll put the tires on top of small cement blocks that we'll place here. One of the first projects on the tiny house was to get it leveled. So this could have been done in many ways. I settled for cinder blocks underneath the trailer. This allows me to later move the trailer without too much hassle if I want to later. A more proper way to do this would have been buried sonotube with concrete and rebar and then build up a foundation from there. But that's a little more permanent than I'm looking for. I gave this a shot. Cinder blocks on top of some cement blocks, and it worked pretty well. As shims, I used some wood. Also on the back side of the tiny house, I have a similar support structure. Leveled it front to back and side to side. A bubble level shows that we're now good. I'll monitor this over time and change out these cinder blocks if I need to for some stronger material. Also a project was fixing this sliding door. It required some new rollers at the bottom. Everything moves smoothly now. We had to fumigate many times in the trailer using some little bombs that you can buy from Home Depot. We're getting rid of some carpenter ants and some other small bugs, including, I saw a few cockroaches. With those more or less gone now, we're continuing to some other projects. Take a look at this. We found some soft spots on the trailer, and it appears we got some water damage. We're still sorting it out a little bit. I'm gonna do some more investigating, but I don't think this paint was very good paint. At a lot of the seams, here's a vertical seam here, I think some water entered and caused some damage. We have some rotting wood. We also have some rotting wood down here. In this case, along a horizontal seam in the wood. Deep into the wood, the weather sheeting is in good shape. I opened up a little spot here to see what the wood below is doing. That's also solid. I'm letting this wood dry out after it's been exposed. With it dried out, we can put over top of it some products that are going to make the wood hard, and then fill it over with some filler. I don't think we need to replace any of the wood. For the most part, it's in good shape. The back side here also has a fair amount of soft spots. We're beginning to expose these. Most of them, again, at seams. I was concerned about the roof allowing wood in initially, or I was concerned about the roof allowing water in initially. Here's some prior damage that seems to be somewhat fixed. Yeah, there's filler behind here. We'll expose that, try to fix it properly. Again, water damage along a seam. I don't think the roof is allowing water in. I would expect to see more damage along the roof line if that were the case, and I don't see anything on the interior either. So we'll continue cleaning things up, getting the exterior properly prepped for a new paint job, and we're going to use some high quality paint, not this low quality stuff they used in the past. Also, we'll be sure to, along any openings, use some high grade caulking to make sure we get rid of any water intrusion problems. Also, good to note, I dug out some dirt underneath all the tires. These tires now spin freely. They're not in contact with the ground. This way I might mitigate some rotting of the tires. Maybe I'll cover them up later, even with some plastic. Things will last a little bit longer that way. I can, if I need to later, jack up the trailer even higher so I don't have to keep a hole underneath the wheels. We'll see how this goes in the future. I want to ensure that water is not entering the roof and causing the damage we saw on the side of the tiny house. So I have up right here now a hose putting onto the roof some water, and we're observing the side of the house to see if we see any water intrusion in the open areas. So far, nothing. We'll keep the water on for a bit longer and see if we find any water intrusion from the roof. We've had the water flowing for a bit now, and I don't see any seepage in the opened areas. No dripping. Still dry. Up here as well. Still dry. So I think the problem is just from water entering the seams of the siding. I don't think it was sealed well initially, and the paint may not also have been of very high quality. The original floor was a little messed up, and it's a cheaper floor. It's not available at Home Depot or Lowe's. I can't find their exact replacement. So we're just tearing it all out, and we're gonna put down a higher quality floor. Maybe something solid wood rather than this laminate material. Alright, so it's become a bit of a late evening. These soft spots on the tiny home that were a bit rotted below, I exposed these soft spots, peeling off with a scraper the paint and the rotted wood. Allowed the wood to dry out. Here's a pretty deep hole here. I can put my finger in there, although we're not rotted on the plywood beneath the siding. So with these sections of rotted wood opened up, I let these areas dry out. There's a pretty big spot. They're sufficiently dry now, and what I've done is I've used some, that's a bit of an experiment, we'll see how this works, wood hardener as step one. This is a wood hardener. It's pretty thin material that you brush on to spots, and that makes the wood that's otherwise rotted and soft harden up. This surface used to be very soft. I could push through it, and it's already hardening up after drying even 30 minutes. You can put multiple coats of the wood hardener on there. After the wood hardener is dried, you can use some wood filler. Now, I tried some other brands of the wood hardener, including a Bondo brand, like the Bondo brand you'd use on a car, although they have one for wood. There also exists a Bondo brand of wood filler. This one is a Varathane brand. I'll give this a try. And then also I have a powder wood filler that you mix with water, and I'll give this one a try too. This was only $2, whereas the other can was $13. And this is the results of using the Bondo brand wood filler. This is very hard, and I applied a coat of the filler earlier today. This is one single coat. I can come back in here and fill the low spots. This was eaten up really good. I'll sand it down then and see how this works out. Some people may not like this style of repair. My thought is the damage was already done on the wood. It's not really structural. I don't want water to get in. I don't want to make it worse. Although, if something happens to these spots that I repair, I can always come back and replace the wood. This is just a quick repair that very well may work quite well. I've seen good reviews about repairing in this way. Some of these repairs are very large. This is a very large repair. I'll likely end up just replacing this piece of wood here, but just TBD at a bit of a later date. The back side where the water drips down from this sloped roof, the back side of this tiny house has quite a few more open spots. Some of these very, very deep, some of them getting to the plywood beneath the siding and causing the plywood to rot. In fact, here my moisture barrier is ripped through. I'm gonna do something more substantial than fill this with putty. I'll replace the plywood hole and the siding here. Other than that, these other holes or soft spots are not all too bad. We'll see how this goes. I have high hopes for it. There's a pretty deep hole, but the moisture barrier is pretty well intact. Making progress. And that's the noise you heard. These helicopters are flying overhead here in Miami. They got a searchlight. Must be looking for someone. Moving to the inside of the tiny house. Today we're going to be doing some priming. Also filling up this gap here with some drywall. And we'll maybe get to the floor at some point this weekend as well. We got the old floor stripped out. We got rid of some bugs that were inhabiting this place. Carpenter ants. So, progress continues. Let's fill this void up a little bit. I pulled out the rotted portions of wood to keep the rot from spreading, and we'll fill this with some putty. This particular putty is mixed with water, and it's nice because it won't dry out like pre-mixed putties. Smooth it out the best we can, and then we'll have to sand it really smooth when it's dry. Work on the tiny home continues. This is the exterior. You can see that most of my holes are patched now. In the deeper holes I used the 2-part putty, the Bondo brand. This was a little bit more strong, I believe anyway, than the water mixture based putty. The water based mixture putty finished off the top surface of a lot of my patches. This material I found didn't dry as quickly and allows me to get a smoother surface, especially after sanding. It didn't take as much work to get that smooth surface either. Only one area did I have to remove the wood entirely. That is this area. I used a little reciprocating saw to remove the best I could the original siding, and I'm going to replace that siding. You can see here that moisture got behind the vapor barrier and just rotted the plywood structure beneath. I'm gonna patch this area with a little piece of plywood, patch up my vapor barrier. I'm gonna use a adhesive I believe it's a fiberglass material, to try to seal this up, as well as these small holes. And I'll fashion some new siding, put that in here, seal it up the best I can, and finally finish it off with some primer and paint. This area is cleaned up and now ready to receive replacement siding. I couldn't find this exact siding that exists on the tiny house in any store, so I had to make my own. Also, because I couldn't find ideal wood in the dimensions I needed, I use non-wood, that is cellular PVC trim. This is for exterior use on houses, although it doesn't mold, doesn't warp as easily. I cut it to length, width, and added some joints. I'm not excited about two siding pieces sharing a vertical joint. That's not ideal. They should be staggered, although I'm worried about doing more harm than good if I cut back one of the joints further. I used some of this fiberglass adhesive tape to seal up the holes that were left in this underlayment material. I'll do my best now to push these siding pieces into place.